It's the end of the line for Nintendo's Kosenju, or light gun series. Although Nintendo would produce one more light gun game, Gumshoe was never released on the Famicom. We've had the static figures of the Wild Gunman game who stand there and say fire, and the hyperactive ducks of Duck Hunt. Which of those two will Hogan's Alley be like? And the answer is actually kind of in the middle. The title should give you a clue. Hogan's Alley is the term for a law enforcement firearms training course where cardboard standees would pop out of locations. The FBI's is the most famous, although theirs wasn't built until 1987. The game Hogan's Alley reflects these training facilities. In Game A, players have the viewpoint of a firing range where 3 targets trundle in from the left, reveal who they are, and then have a short period of time to shoot any of the bad guys. There's 3 gangsters, a cop, a professor, and a lady. The cop and the professor in particular have color schemes that look very similar to 2 of the gangsters. So an itchy trigger finger may wind up taking one of them out by mistake. The time limit's a lot more aggressive in Hogan's Alley than it is in Wild Gunman, probably due to not assuming that players will be holstering their firearm in between rounds. It's not just one gangster either. When the targets flip, they may reveal 2, making that time limit even tighter. The sharpshooter bonus is given if the player can clear 3 rounds without any misses. The player is allowed to miss 10 times before they get a game over. Game A winds up being a lot more difficult than the similar mode in Wild Gunman. Between multiple targets, innocent bystanders, and a more strict time limit, Hogan's Alley actually presents a bit of a challenge. Game B takes us to something that more closely resembles the actual Hogan's Alley. We're given a cityscape, and the targets slide in and reveal what they are. So it's very similar to Game A, it just places it in a more natural environment. Something to note about Game B is that it's a first on the Famicom. This is the first time that we've seen scrolling. Smooth scrolling was the big advantage that the Famicom had over its competitors. This doesn't seem like much, but when you compare it to other game consoles in 1984, it's pretty big. There's one more first about Game B. It's the first time that we see new levels indicated by a palette shift. That's a technique that will become depressingly common as we go on. Finally, we have my favorite mode in this game, Game C, Trick Shooting. A series of cans are launched from the left-hand side, and you have to shoot them to bounce them up into the air. You get points for shooting them into the slots on the left-hand side or making it land on that little platform. If a can drops off the bottom, then it's a miss. Shots knock the cans up and to the left. Striking the bricks can bounce the can back to the right. And in that bottom slot worth 5,000 points, you can often find yourself bouncing up and into the bricks and back out again, over and over. Of the 3 modes, this is the one that feels the most like a fully realized game. I'm out of things to talk about with Hogan's Alley, since it is such a simple game. So let me talk for a moment about how I'm playing the game. The NES Zapper does not work with the Famicom, even the AV Famicom that I use to get this footage. That said, the wiring for the Famicom light gun and the NES Zapper is very similar. There's just a voltage, ground, and 2 signal wires. So I got a replacement 15-pin cable, a full 7-pin extension cable, and I spliced those 2 together. And that's Hogan's Alley. Short video, but we're in the era of short games. I don't see anyone really having a burning need to go back and revisit this one. With this, we've come to the end of the Kosenju series. Farewell, light gun games. We'll meet again sometime.